Our lead-off panel this evening, it is a good one. NBC senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor, who is at Swazi's headquarters, former Democratic New York Congressman, my friend Max Rose, and Mark Chisano, author of the new must-read book, The Fabulous, The Lying, Hustling, Grifting, Stealing, and Very American Legend of George Santos. It is a must-read, and it is out now. Sahil, you've been talking to voters for the last couple of days, right? People came back to vote for this guy, right? Democrats had lost ground. What was it in his unifying message that won over voters? What did they tell you?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Stephanie. To tie today's two big stories together, now you see why House Republicans wanted to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas before this special election, because they did it with a single vote margin. If they did not have that extra vote, or if Tom Suozzi was sworn in for that impeachment, it would not have passed. That is the importance of one single vote in this wafer-thin House Republican majority. Yes, voters decided to flip this district back from blue to red and now back to blue. It was won by George Santos in 2022 after, as Steve just laid out, Joe Biden won it comfortably in 2020. It's one of those fluid suburban bellwether battlegrounds that has been so decisive and has tracked the national mood so closely, which is why Democrats behind me feel so happy about this victory. It's not just about this one race. It's not just about Mazi versus Suozzi, as this contest had been affectionately called around here. It's about the national environment and what this looks like going into the fall election. Voters were concerned about the same national issues that are playing out elsewhere. They were concerned about immigration. They were concerned about crime. This has been a major vulnerability for Democrats, but one thing Tom Suozzi was able to do is go on offense with the border, endorse this bipartisan deal and to toughen asylum and border laws, and portray Mazi Pilip, who rejected it, as enthralled to the extremists within her party. That is the argument he repeatedly made on the debate stage, that he made down the stretch. It was unclear whether it would work, but now we have our answer. It worked. He did 20 points better than the Democratic candidate in the Queens slice of this district back in 2022. And Nassau County, where Republicans have had a real resurgence over the last several years, they felt very good and energized going into this. Tom Suozzi is leading in the Nassau, the redder part of this district. It looks at this moment, Stephanie, like a decisive victory.
He's got charisma, he's got a unifying message. And let's talk about immigration, Max, because we've talked about this together on this show. Immigration has been a very big vulnerability for Democrats for years. And it was for Suozzi, right? They were calling him Sanctuary Suozzi, but he turned around, took the facts, and punched them right in the face with them. What can other Democrats learn from this?
Sure, you hit the nail on the head. What Democrats have all too often done is when they are hit with a vulnerability, it could be the border, it could be anything else, they'll try to change the subject. Okay, I know you are, but what am I? Let's talk about the economy, this and that. And certainly Democrats should go on the offensive on a myriad of issues. But when you are hit with something that is both not true and that the voters are thinking about, talking about, and emotional about, you have to respond. And Tom Suozzi didn't just respond, he did it right to the camera multiple times and did it quickly in a way that broke through. That's a lesson.
That's my question. How did it break through, right? The president has to deal with misinformation every single day. Look what's happening at the border. Just a week ago, I was talking to a Republican congressman who said, well, Joe Biden really messed up, standing with defund the police. Joe Biden never stood with defund the police. He was very clear about it. In fact, he wanted to reinvest and retrain police departments around the country, but somehow that message doesn't land. Why did it for Suozzi? Because he's got a much smaller universe he needs it to land with?
So I think Suozzi actually did something that immediately strikes you as counterintuitive. He, to the camera, repeated the Republican talking point. He said, they are saying this about me. Politics 101 would often dictate, never do that. Don't give them airtime. He said, they're saying this about me, but it's not true for these reasons. And then he brought it back to values, centered it around his commitment to family, the community, and his longtime service. He said, you know me. This isn't true. That is, of course, something that President Biden can and should replicate.
Mark, how much of this is the George Santos effect, right? It's humiliating for people in Long Island, in Queens, who said, I voted for this guy. How many people were just running from Republicans and Santos after what we just witnessed?
You know, I heard a lot on the campaign trail. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad that Santos won. This is what voters were saying. They felt almost guilty that Santos had been elected on both sides of the aisle. Interestingly, Santos was one of the few policy things he cared about was Mayorkas, was impeaching Mayorkas. This was a thing that he had supported early on, and so there's an irony.
Okay, but hold on. Did Santos really lean into anything, or it was just a game of survival for him? Was there ever a moment he was actually working on constructive policy? Let's be honest.
I think that in terms of Mayorkas, this was kind of one of the policies that he would flick at what his larger sort of bent was, farther right wing, for example. I don't think this was something he cared a ton about personally, but it was just one of the things where he was going along with the tide. He was very good at sort of listening to what people were saying and what was where the wind was blowing, and that was the George Santos we knew.
Sahil, Republicans wanted to get this impeachment vote in tonight before the risk of Swazi. Well, now it's here. He's here. So what's ahead on Capitol Hill, right? There's funding for other legislation. There's the threat of a shutdown.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephanie. Speaker Mike Johnson already had a paper-thin majority. What is thinner than paper? I think Speaker Johnson is about to find out. This goes to 219 for Republicans to 213 for Democrats. He's already dealt with this small band of rebels on either end of his party. It used to be just the far right, but recently some centrist Republicans are also getting in on this, you know, forming small coalitions and rejecting some of the measures that he wants to advance, and they simply cannot pass because Speaker Johnson has largely been trying to move these Republican-only party line bills, some of them messaging bills, and struggling to. So, Tom Suozzi will be sworn in. When will he be sworn in? Well, we can report that he wants to be sworn in as early as Thursday. The reason being, tomorrow is a little too soon. Thursday is the last day before a week-and-a-half recess. This is according to a source I spoke to just a few moments ago who's familiar with his thinking on this matter. He could be sworn in as early as this week. If not, it would be about 2 weeks from now, given that the House is on recess. Again, you have government funding coming up, FAA reauthorization, a farm bill that has to be done, some serious business that has to get through Congress this year before the 2024 elections, where the White House, of course, and Congress are up for grabs. Again, this battleground districts like these were among the few that flipped in 2022 and gave Republicans control of the House. Surely Democrats are going to be feeling good about this. And the final thing I'll point out here, Stephanie, is that Republicans are pointing out already that special elections are special, that there are limited amounts that you can gauge into this, that it's not a perfect barometer. There was a snowstorm today. They point out that Tom Suozzi had higher name recognition and all that stuff. We'll hear a lot more of these arguments. No one election is determinative of another, but Democrats have a lot to be happy about tonight.